Welcome back to LGBT Stories, your channel for emotional, romantic, and sometimes heart-wrenching tales from the LGBT community. It was a quiet Tuesday night, just me and my book, when a sudden knock echoed through my apartment. Opening the door, I found a police officer standing there. Little did I know, this unexpected visit was about to change my life forever. A quiet evening alone dissolved instantly with a sudden knock at the door, disrupting the calm that had wrapped around me. The unexpected sound pulled me from my book, and I realized it was nearly 10 p.m. It was strange because no one was expected, and my friends wouldn't show up unannounced, especially so late. Curiosity mingled with a nervous thrill as I moved toward the door, sensing something unknown awaited on the other side. An unfamiliar excitement mixed with the unease as I approached the door. Each step a blend of curiosity and caution amplifying the silence. Reaching the door, I paused, my heartbeat the only sound in the stillness, and peered through the peephole. I was met with an unexpected sight. A police officer standing in the hallway. He looked young, probably in his early 30s, with a strong jawline and calm demeanor. Yet there was a restrained intensity that rooted me to the spot. My brain raced, trying to understand why he was there. "Good evening," he said, his deep voice easily carrying through the door. As I slowly opened it, he introduced himself. "I'm Officer Miller. Are you Mr. Hart?" I nodded, feeling my pulse quicken. "Yes, that's me. Is there a problem?" He offered a slight, reassuring smile, but paused before answering, glancing down the hallway and back at me. "Mind if I come in for a minute?" A little surprised, I stepped aside, watching him enter with a confident air. Though I noticed a quick survey of my apartment. Closing the door, a surge of nerves hit me. It wasn't every day a police officer, especially one like him, showed up at your door. "Is everything all right?" I asked, crossing my arms to appear calm. "Nothing to worry about, Mr. Hart," he replied, glancing around before meeting my eyes. "I'm just checking on a few things in the neighborhood. We've had reports of suspicious activity, and I wanted to see if you'd noticed anything unusual." Relieved, but oddly disappointed, I shook my head. "No, it's been quiet as far as I know." "Good to hear," he said, his gaze lingering a moment longer than necessary. "But it never hurts to stay cautious. You never know what might be going on behind closed doors." There was something cryptic in his tone, hinting at more than small talk in the way he looked at me, though I couldn't place it. "So, is this part of your usual rounds, officer?" I asked, trying to lighten the mood. He shrugged, a hint of a smile tugging at his mouth. "Well, not every call involves apartment visits, just to chat. But sometimes it's worth going the extra mile." His intense gaze held mine, making the room feel smaller, and a thick silence followed, charged with something I couldn't name. This encounter was unlike any other, an electricity in the air making it hard to think straight. I told myself it was just the uniform, but deep down, it felt like more. Finally, he broke the silence. "How long have you been living here, Mr. Hart?" "Call me Alex," I replied, feeling awkward calling myself Mr. Hart. "It's been about a year now." "Alex then," he repeated, nodding. "Nice place. Quiet area. I can see why you'd choose it." His compliment caught me off guard, and a strange pride swelled within me. "Thanks. Yeah, it's nice though. I don't get many visitors, mostly just work." "Work keeps you busy?" he asked, sounding genuinely interested. "Yeah, I'm a graphic designer," I explained, still feeling awkward but compelled to continue the conversation. "Late nights, deadlines, keeps me on my toes." "I know the feeling," he replied, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Though in my line of work, late nights are more unpredictable. The way he said it made my imagination run wild, picturing him in intense situations, wondering about the weight of responsibility and pressure he carried daily. Sensing my thoughts, his expression softened. "You must enjoy what you do, though. Not everyone has the patience for deadlines." I smiled, feeling more at ease. "It has its moments, but yeah, I guess I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it." A brief pause hung in the air, a moment of shared normalcy before his gaze shifted, and the atmosphere changed, the weight of authority returning. "Alex," he said, his voice quieter, "I have to ask, Do you ever feel uneasy here being on your own? The question caught me off guard, my heart racing again. Not usually. Why? No reason in particular, he replied, though his tone suggested otherwise. Just sometimes people don't notice when something's off in their own space. Easier to miss details. His words lingered, a strange tension building that I couldn't shake. I didn't know what he was hinting at, but his gaze made me feel exposed, as if he saw something unseen. He leaned against the kitchen counter, stance relaxed but gaze intense, a flicker in his eyes going beyond police professionalism. My mind spun, unsure what to make of it. After barely 10 minutes, the air felt thick, charged. "Hope you don't mind if I stay a bit longer," he said, his voice low. "Neighborhood checks don't usually take long, but I feel there's more to ask." My heartbeat quickened. "No problem," I replied, hoping I sounded casual. "Ask away." His eyes held mine, a faint smile ghosting his lips. "Have you ever felt unsettled here?" His open-ended question hung in the air, implying more than he said. "Not really," I answered, swallowing hard. "I've always liked the quiet, no complaints." "Good," he nodded, but his gaze didn't soften. "Quiet is good, but sometimes quiet neighborhoods can be deceiving, where unexpected things happen." His words carried weight, and I couldn't tell if it was just his job or something directed at me. "So, Officer Miller," I began, but he cut me off. "Call me Daniel." His voice was warm, coaxing, and he stepped closer. "Daniel," I repeated, his name feeling strange, like crossing a line. "What exactly are you getting at?" He held my gaze unflinchingly, and the tension intensified. "Nothing specific, just making sure everything's in order," he replied, though his eyes said otherwise. I shifted uncomfortably, glancing around for something to ground myself, but his presence drew me back. His intense gaze deepened, reading something in me I hadn't intended to reveal. "So, what else should I know about the area?" I asked, my voice unsteady. "Just that sometimes things aren't as simple as they seem," he said, his tone soft but edged. "Sometimes it's the people we least expect who surprise us most." There was again that undercurrent, like he was talking about more than the neighborhood. My pulse quickened, wondering if he was trying to tell me something without saying it. "So, Alex," he said, my name from his lips sending a strange thrill. "What made you choose this place, this neighborhood?" I shrugged, trying to stay casual. Wanted a fresh start, a place to focus on work without distractions. He raised an eyebrow, a smirk forming. "Distractions, huh? Well, I hate to break it to you, but sometimes distractions find us." The air grew heavier, warmth creeping up my neck. His words held a teasing edge, but something more, making it hard to ignore the way he looked at me, like waiting for me to cross a line. I laughed, trying to break the tension. "Well, I hope I don't have too many of those, trying to keep things simple." "Simple isn't always interesting," he murmured, his gaze unwavering. My pulse raced, aware of the closeness between us. Drawn to him, despite my mind urging professionalism, something about his presence made me want to ignore logic. Lean into whatever this was. His voice lowered, breaking the silence. "There's a fine line between professional and personal, Alex," he said, almost reading my thoughts. His words hit me like a jolt, and I searched his face for humor, but his expression was serious, his gaze steady. The last pretense dissolved. I fumbled, unsure how to respond. "I don't usually have officers visiting at night, so maybe you needed one this time," he replied, his voice a whisper, a promise wrapped in mystery. The words hung in the air, and I leaned closer, drawn into his orbit. The tension was undeniable, a quiet storm brewing. "Daniel," I said softly, testing the waters. "Yes, Alex." His gaze softened, his expression shifting, feeling the unspoken pull. Part of me wanted to back away, laugh it off, but I couldn't. I held his gaze, the moment building. "Nothing," I said finally, breaking eye contact, my heart pounding. "Just nothing." But it wasn't nothing, and we both knew it. The silence was heavy with unspoken words, possibilities. When he finally looked away, I felt relief and disappointment, like a missed opportunity. He adjusted his collar, clearing his throat. "All right, well, I should probably be going, but he didn't move, his gaze lingering, waiting for me to stop him. "Thanks for stopping by," I said, trying to sound casual. He nodded, a hesitant smile. "Anytime, Alex. Stay safe." "I will," I replied, my voice distant. With a final nod, he turned towards the door, leaving me feeling like I'd woken from a dream, the encounter leaving an undeniable mark. Days later, everything felt strangely quiet, my mind drifting back to that night, his gaze, his words. I tried to dismiss it as a strange but innocent visit, but each night I felt something unfinished. Then, one evening, a knock on my door made my heart leap. Daniel stood there, out of uniform, looking surprised. "Hey," he said, his voice softer. "Hey," I replied, aware I'd been thinking of him more than I admitted. "What brings you here?" He looked down, searching for words. "I was in the area and, well, thought I'd stop by, see how you were." "Thanks," I managed, awkward but grateful. "You want to come in?" He nodded, and I stepped aside, his presence filling my apartment again. This time, he seemed more at ease, and I relaxed too, despite my racing heart. "So," he began, glancing around, "you been doing all right?" "Yeah," I said, though it wasn't true. I'd been restless, distracted, but I wouldn't admit that. "Just the usual work, not much else." He nodded, his gaze drifting back to me. "It's funny," he said, almost to himself. "I don't usually get this invested in neighborhood checks." His words hung between us, and I smiled. "Oh yeah? Guess I should feel flattered." Daniel laughed, warm and genuine, the space between us feeling smaller, warmer. "I guess so. Alex," he said quietly. "I guess so." A long, weighted silence followed, neither willing to break it. His eyes held mine, searching, and warmth rushed through me. I wanted to speak, but words escaped me. Then, as if pulled by an invisible force, he stepped closer, his breath warm against my skin, my heart pounding. This wasn't just a visit anymore. This was something more. "Alex," he murmured, his voice barely a whisper, sending a shiver down my spine. "Yeah," I replied, my voice soft, hesitant. He didn't speak, but reached out, his fingers brushing my hand, tentative, waiting for permission. I didn't pull away, I couldn't. In that moment, I knew I wanted whatever had brought him back. Slowly, testing boundaries, he leaned in, his eyes never leaving mine. My heart raced, each beat thunderous, but I didn't move. Then his lips brushed against mine, soft, gentle, hesitant, like breaking a spell. But it was real, and his touch sent shivers through me. My hand moved, reaching up to touch his face, pulling him closer, and he responded, his arm wrapping around me. It was a slow, tentative dance, exploring each other, feeling boundaries. His hand moved to the back of my neck, fingers warm and steady, grounding me as the kiss deepened, the world fading away. In that moment, nothing else mattered, just us in the quiet shared space, the intensity simmering beneath the surface finally breaking free. He pulled back slightly, his forehead resting against mine, his breath warm against my skin. I opened my eyes, meeting his gaze, lost in each other. "Daniel," I whispered. "I know," he said softly, his thumb brushing my cheek. "I didn't plan this." "Me neither," I admitted, vulnerable but thrilled. "But I'm glad you're here." His smile widened, his hand slipping down to mine, fingers entwining, natural, easy, like something I'd waited for unknowingly. "So, am I." "Alex," he murmured, his voice filled with relief. We stayed like that for what felt like hours, unwilling to break the spell. Eventually, he pulled me into a gentle embrace, his warmth comforting. For once, the silence was peaceful, filled with unspoken understanding. Resting my head on his shoulder, feeling his heartbeat, I knew this was something I wanted, something right. But as much as I wanted to stay, I knew we couldn't forever. Slowly, reluctantly, I pulled back, meeting his gaze. "Where do we go from here?" I asked quietly, uncertainly. He looked at me, a faint smile tugging his lips. "Honestly, I don't know, but I want to find out, if you're willing." Warmth filled me, and I smiled. "Yeah, I think I am." Daniel's face softened, and he leaned in, his lips brushing mine in another soft, lingering kiss, this time with quiet intensity, a deeper promise. When he pulled back, his fingers still entwined with mine, he looked at me with a quiet confidence. "I'll be here, Alex," he said softly, "whenever you need me." I nodded, my heart pounding, but I didn't need words, just held on to him, letting his presence fill the empty spaces. Though the future was unknown, this was only the beginning. The days that followed blurred with excitement and apprehension. We hadn't made grand declarations, just explored something we were drawn to. Life felt lighter, seen through a new lens. We spent more time together, Daniel appearing unexpectedly after shifts, his warm smile bringing calm. Our ritual became this shared space, the outside world fading, just us. One evening, sitting on the couch, his arm casually draped behind me, he looked over with a thoughtful expression. "You know," he began, playful glint in his eyes, "I didn't think my job would ever lead me here." I laughed. "Yeah, neighborhood checks don't usually go this way. Guess we're breaking new ground." He grinned, mischief in his smile. "Can't say I mind, though." He reached for my hand, lacing fingers through mine. "Familiar warmth spreading. You not worried?" I asked softly, a question lingering in my mind. He looked down, thumb tracing my knuckles. "There's always expectation, Alex," he said thoughtfully. "But sometimes expectations aren't everything. Sometimes you choose what's right, even if it doesn't fit the mold." I nodded, comforted, but a part of me felt uncertain. "I just don't want to make things harder for you." He lifted his gaze, serious. "You're not," he said firmly. "You're the opposite." He laughed softly, incredulous. "You're one of the few things that feels real, like I can just be myself." The weight of his words settled between us, clarity aligning. "I feel the same," I admitted, relieved. "It's like everything else fades when I'm with you." He smiled, tension easing. We sat in comfortable silence, his hand warm in mine, letting quiet speak. As weeks passed, our connection deepened. Small gestures keeping us close, texts, coffee stops, moments simple but meaningful. For the first time in a long time, I felt peace, quiet happiness brightening the world. But calm didn't last. Moments of doubt, uncertainty crept in when reality intruded. One evening, Daniel was at my place, relaxed, laughing, when his phone buzzed. His face changed subtly, but enough for me to notice. "Everything okay?" I asked casually. He nodded, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah, just work stuff." He slipped his phone away, but I sensed something weighing on him. "You sure?" I pressed, unable to ignore the shift. He sighed, rubbing his neck. "It's complicated. Being with you feels like escape. Amazing, but then I remember it's just hard balancing things." I reached over, hand on his knee. "I get it, Daniel. You don't have to explain everything. I just want you to know I'm here." He looked at me, gratitude and something deeper in his eyes. "Thank you, Alex," he said softly. "It means more than you know." The tension dissolved, leaving us in that quiet space where words weren't needed. He pulled me closer, arms wrapping around me, settling into comfortable silence, content to hold onto the quiet moments. But reality intruded again. One night, Daniel worked late, and I found myself restless, alone. My phone buzzed, and relief washed over me seeing his name. But the message was short, formal. "Hey, can I stop by? Need to talk." The words were simple, but carried weight. I replied quickly, but a feeling of unease lingered. When he arrived, he looked exhausted, his usual calm replaced by heaviness. He stepped inside, and before I could speak, he pulled me into a tight hug, grounding himself. "Alex," he began, his voice quiet, filled with something I couldn't place. "I've been thinking a lot." I waited, heart pounding, bracing for what he'd say. "I can't keep living like this," he continued, his voice raw. "I can't keep hiding, keep pretending what we have doesn't mean everything to me." Relief washed over me, and I tightened my hold. "Daniel, you don't have to pretend, not with me." He pulled back slightly, his gaze intense. In that moment, I saw the depth of his struggle, the weight he carried. "But it's not just you, Alex," he whispered. "It's everything else, my job, my family. I try to keep them separate, to keep this safe, but it's hard." I reached up, cupping his face, feeling the tension in his jaw. "Daniel, we'll find a way. We'll figure it out." He closed his eyes, leaning into my touch, tension easing slightly. "I know," he murmured softly. "I know we will." That night, we stayed up talking, sharing fears, hopes, things we wanted but hadn't dared to ask. By sunrise, there was clarity, understanding that whatever challenges lay ahead, we'd face them together. Over the weeks that followed, we took things slowly, finding our way in uncharted territory. There were moments of doubt, moments when reality pressed down on us, but each time we found our way back, holding onto the connection that had brought us together. And as I sat there watching him laugh, feeling the warmth of his hand in mine, I knew that whatever came next, whatever challenges or obstacles lay ahead, we would face them together. Because sometimes life gives you exactly what you need, even when you didn't know you were looking for it. Our story wasn't perfect, not without struggles, but it was real, and in the end, that was enough. And that was the unexpected love story of Alex and Daniel. If you enjoyed this emotional and romantic journey, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to LGBT Stories for more heartwarming and sometimes heart-wrenching tales from the LGBT community. And tell us in the comments below, what did you think of Alex and Daniel's unexpected romance? We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching.